So that goes to say something about the ambassador's popularity, I think. The ambassador is not on, yes? Is he on?
Not yet. They're on the Zoom, but he hasn't come in yet.
Okay, thank you, Amita. We'll just wait, obviously, until he comes on the screen. I see Vasant joining. Vasant, long time. How are you? Hope you're well.
Good, good. I hope you can see me. I'm in the shadow here.
Yes. Hey, Vasant.
Figure out how to get the light on my face.
And speaking of people far and near, on the near side, we see Jay Challa here from Virginia, among others.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello, Sanjeev. Good to be here.
Great. Guess we're waiting for the ambassador to join us.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. He said they're joining momentarily.
Okay.
Oh, we have people across the river in Maryland. Amita, hi, how are you?
Hi, everyone. Yes, good to see you. I was actually invited this evening. Unfortunately, couldn't go in person to the embassy, so I'm joining by Zoom to greet him a farewell.
Great, welcome.
Yeah, good to see everyone. Wonderful attendance.
Great.
They have attorneys, so we can't, not attorneys, but they have also.
This is Anil from California, Northern California.
Hey, Anil.
Hi, Anil.
How are you?
Yeah, so we gotta get.
Good, good.
But don't.
I see Vijay Bist from Amber. Hey, Vijay.
And good morning to MR, to Sanjeev, and to the whole In Diaspora team, and us in this big fan club.
Welcome, Ken. You're always so supportive.
I've been a fan right from the beginning. I met MR when he was part of the group that hosted Ambassador Ashok becoming Consul General of San Francisco.
The ambassador is here, Sanjeev.
Yeah. Amita, please welcome the ambassador. Just introduce yourself.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Please welcome Ambassador Taranjeet Singh Sandhu. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for being here. We're all very, very thrilled to see you. I'll let Sanjeev take it over from here.
Thank you.
Ambassador Taranjeet Singh Sandhu. Taranjeet, welcome to the call. This is such a bittersweet occasion for us. We are all part of your fan club, and we are delighted that we are getting the chance to felicitate you at in Diaspora, and as a part of a network that we are getting the chance to felicitate you. We've worked with you so much on different things. And while we are delighted that we have this last opportunity, in the broader context, we are, of course, sad and we'll miss you once you go back very soon to India. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sanjeev and MR and so many friends. I'm sure I'll get an opportunity, so I don't want to rob away your time. But it's wonderful, you know, in Diaspora, I've known for years and years. And even some of the aspiring congressmen then who are now congressmen, and lots of other professionals like all of you. And it's so nice to be able to get together. I apologize that this is virtual. I wish it could be in person, but kindly excuse me, I'm a bit caught up with time, but it's wonderful to get an opportunity to see all of you. Look forward.
No, fully understand. We understand how hard-pressed your schedule must be at this point. In fact, just 2 or 3 things I'll say, and I'll hand it over to MR. we are a global organization, and we are happy in a way that this event is virtual, because while we obviously miss, seeing you in person, Taranjeet, what this does is it gives our folks from the network across America in different cities, including the West Coast. And in fact, on this call, you will see that there are people who have joined from India. Indeed, there are people who have joined from the Netherlands, which I think for some reason is a country you know a thing or two about, Ambassador Sandhu. But, you will see that your popularity spreads across borders. And we are very glad that they could all join us in this virtual event, which, by the way, is being live streamed. So in addition to the people that you see in your Zoom screen today, there are a whole bunch of people that have joined us on YouTube and Facebook Live and LinkedIn and all kinds of platforms. So just very quickly, the way we do this is I do want to make sure that we are respectful of everybody's time on the line. Everybody has, taken their time in the midst of busy days, and most especially the Honorable Ambassador's time. We want to make sure that because he's hard pressed for time, we sort of start and end on time. So we will keep the trains running on time. What we will do is I will immediately now turn it over to MR. And then following MR, I will introduce a bunch of pre-prepared speakers who have come with 2-minute remarks before we open it up to audience comments, which I will be moderating. And then, of course, His Excellency Taranjeet Sandhu will deliver some closing comments. So with that, MR, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjeev. Thank you, Diaspora team. Again, Taranjeet, we are definitely going to miss you. I know you've been here 4 stints in the United States. I've gotten to know you only in the last 2 stints. Plus, also, I've tracked you down in places as far away as Colombo, where we had dinner a few years ago. So really, it's a long friendship we've had, and we're going to sorely miss you. But, I just want to call out a few of the highlights of our interactions. One was in the good times when we met in Sri Lanka. It was great to meet you in a different country. That was fun and nice. But even during hard times, during COVID, the amount of work you personally undertook and did, along with the diaspora and your team, is commendable. And I think that's when there are hard times and bad times and challenging times is when someone's character stands out. And I have to commend you and applaud you for the work you and the embassy team and the consul teams all over the country did to help the diaspora and to help Indians across the globe. Really, really, I think that's where you stood out and your team stood out. So thankful to you for that. And all the other things that you had to deal with during your tenure. The US-India relationship has gone to new heights under your responsibility, and you're leaving it in very good, healthy shape as you exit. So I have to really applaud you for how you've built the trust and the friendship with the US administration, with the US Congress, and with Americans in general. And I think what we've really are happy is with the way you interact with people. You're very approachable, you're firm, but you're still not in your face. You have a great style that you're a diplomat, but a forceful diplomat at that. So really, those are some of the things that stand out to me, but I won't take the stage all the time. I'm going to turn this back again, Taranjeet. We wish you all the best in the next innings, whatever that might be. And also want to thank you and Reena for both of you really being in public service all your lives is something that we all really want to shout out. So thank you so much. Back to you, Sanjeev.
Just remark that I learned a lot from you. Of course, I'll say in the end the rest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, MR. Very well said. For those of you who are on the call who might not be aware, MR referred and I alluded to earlier, Ambassador Reena Sandhu. Her Excellency Reena Sandhu is the Indian ambassador to the Netherlands and is the better half of our very own Ambassador Taranjeet Sandhu. So that's what MR was referring to. I'll now turn it over to someone who is a fixture here in Virginia, not only in the political space, in the financial space, in the dharmic space, and indeed when it comes to back channel interlocution between the US and India, a tremendous firefighter, troubleshooter, ideator, and so many different adjectives that I can apply to Shekhar Narasimhan. But let me turn it over to you, Shekhar.
Namaste, Ambassador. How are you? I know it's a difficult time in a sense, but yet a time we should be celebrating. This tenure of yours has, in almost any statistical way, just been beyond the pale in terms of the advancement, not only of this relationship, but of the expansion of the relationship. So we can measure things by saying, what was the trade then? What is the trade now? What is the tourism then? What was the tourism now? But I would rather not measure it that way. I would rather measure your accomplishments as, first of all, you brought a style of congeniality and frankly of brashness. I think you reflect a new India. Jab aap andar aate hain and you put on your red turban, I can only assure you that all eyes are upon you. The yellow suits you well too, by the way. But it is a symbol of something that I think India has lacked, which is to be bold, to actually advocate not only on behalf of others, but for itself standing on its own 2 feet. I think you reflected that extremely well. That is, in effect, to insulate it against the changes that occur and the small prickly problems that will come up. Very often in this relationship, those small prickly problems have become big deal stoppers. They did not become deal stoppers under your term. I know that personally, and I can attest to it. The other thing is you've expanded this relationship. I don't think 10 years ago, anybody would have talked about the partnership between India and the United States in healthcare and said, it is one of the deepest, most important, and probably consequential to the 21st century and the healthcare of mankind. Who could have said that? And then the partnership in space. It is actually more tangible and much more behind the scenes than people realize. These are not things, I think, that came about quickly or easily. They came about because of the sense of boldness that you brought to this job and your perspective about where this relationship can go. So I just want to felicitate you and say, job well done. Whatever you do in your next innings and the one after that, I think we want to be part of. So aap jara yaad rakhiye hame and come back and see us very, very soon.
Thank you, Shekhar. Very, very well put. And I think Indian diplomats nowadays and Indian cricketers are both the same. They are reflections of a new India. There was a time when they used to play not to lose, but now they play to win. And I think that as someone of Indian origin, that is a nice sight for all of us to see. Let me turn it over now. If there is anybody who should be commenting on US-India affairs, it is none other than Vivek Lal. Vivek Lal, of course, as many of you know, is the CEO of General Atomics and has been instrumental in the US-India commercial space, both via his own company as well as via the US-India Business Council. So, Vivek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Excellency, of course, it's a great honor to address you among many others today. It's a moment of as mentioned, bittersweet. Tremendous accomplishments under your leadership, and therefore it shall be sorely missed. However, really look forward to your next innings and continuing to be in great touch. I think one thing I'd like to point out is the way the political, the bureaucratic, the academic, the industry, as well as the media, and all those stakeholders associated with those areas were brought together in order to have this great expansion of the relationship is something truly remarkable. And I do believe, as the history of this century will be written between US and India and the progress that has been made, your stint and your years here will be highlighted as a golden period of how all these elements came together. And for that, I know the entire community is very grateful. I'd also say about Ambassador Sandhu that the humility, the passion and the affection you've had for all of us has been very unique and will be sorely missed. So thank you again, sir.
Vivek, thank you. Coming from you, such an active participant, these are most meaningful words. I just want to let everybody know, because several people have received the run of show, that our next speaker, who is here in Virginia, the owner and founder of one of the contracting companies here in Virginia, Smita Siddhanti, just informed us that she's down with COVID. So we'll move on to our next speaker. I'll now invite Sandeep Kalra, who is joining us from India, lives in America, but today happens to be in India, the CEO of Persistent Systems. Sandeep?
Thank you. Dear Ambassador Sandhu, while I have not met you in person, I've seen you in action from a distance, and I have admired your work over the years. It's both an honor and a privilege to be here to express the deepest gratitude to you for your exceptional contributions to strengthening the relationship between the two countries, the US and India, during your tenure. As you conclude your tenure, we want to acknowledge as a team the efforts that have been about forging not just the policies and agreements, but about creating the image of India in the US that has directly and indirectly benefited a bunch of us who operate in the India-US corridor. We have seen significant improvement over the last decade. Significant part goes to you and to the government of India for that. On behalf of everyone here, I want to appreciate your efforts and thank you once again. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and we are very confident whatever you do next, you'll continue to be a formidable force for positive change. Thank you once again. Sandeep, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep, for joining us from India and for these heartfelt words. I am unable to keep track on my Zoom screen because there are so many people sort of across the screens. Is Neeraj Antani, State Senator of Ohio, with us?
He'll be joining us shortly, Sanjeev, is what he's messaged. I was just about to message you that, so we can move on to Rishi Kumar since he's here.
Thank you. Thank you. So now we will go to California and to the Bay Area specifically. And we are joined by Rishi Kumar, who intends to give us a bigger plate of samosas in the near future.
It's very hard to bid farewell to you, sir. And we're very lucky to have you. You have been a true friend of America. And today I speak as a high-tech executive from Silicon Valley, a proud geek, and also someone who's politically active, council member, executive board member of the California Democratic Party, and now a candidate running for US Congress. Firstly, Ambassador, I want to congratulate you. On yesterday, we had a great day for India. And India put behind 500 years of subjugation by the Mughals and the British. And India has clearly blossomed in the recent decades, thanks to leaders like you at the helm, just like America has since 1776. So Ambassador Sandhu, drawing attention to your tenure in Washington, it has been nothing short of exemplary. And you have embodied the spirit of diplomacy and democracy, fostering strong ties. And in your time, the understanding between the US and India has flourished. And the bonds have strengthened. And we have discovered more in common. And there has been teaming, also because of multiple visits by India's Prime Minister Modi. Your efforts have deepened political, economic cooperation, but also cultural exchanges, educational collaborations, and the people-to-people connections that you have established has been phenomenal, as we see on this call today. Now, your commitment to trade, security, strategic partnerships has led to growth and prosperity for both our nations. Congratulations to you, Ambassador, for doing such a great job. Now, I would like to say that you have been a source of inspiration and goodwill. You have been a bridge builder. I remember the incident. I was invited to a lunch meeting with you here in Silicon Valley. You were keenly interested to meet the Indian American elected leaders here. And I saw the list. It was pretty much all the Indian Americans, right from council member to Congress. You were wanting to meet with them. And I truly, truly appreciated that, And it's very sad to see you go, but we are looking forward to seeing the trajectory of your career. And I extend our heartfelt best wishes to you. Your legacy of diplomacy, dedication, and grace will continue to inspire us all. Your time in Washington, Ambassador, may be coming to a close, but the bonds of friendship and partnership we have forged will endure. We thank you for your unwavering service and wish you success, happiness, and total fulfillment in the journey ahead. May your path always be illuminated by the warm glow of friendship and diplomacy. Thank you so much for your service. It's been great to know you, sir.
Thank you so much, Rishi. Those were some great remarks, and I hope that the reference to the samosas was not lost on people, because informally and fondly, in colloquial terms, the group of Indian American lawmakers that are part of the US Congress elected officials are referred to as the Samosa Caucus. So we are hoping that there will soon be some additions to that. Now, moving on to our next speaker, we have someone who lives here in Virginia, good friend Kapil Sharma, Cap Sharma, who is the chief of the India Center of the Atlantic Council, and I know is very well known to our ambassador here. And I remember, Cap, seeing a couple of pictures which you had sent me either on WhatsApp or it was on Facebook, I can't remember. But you and Persis a few years ago, in one of the previous innings of the ambassador in America, there was a great couple of pictures of you with the ambassador. So, obviously you go back a long way.
Thank you, Sanjeev. And it is an honor for me to address the ambassador and to speak. I think one of the more interesting things about those pictures was that the ambassador actually introduced me to my wife back when he was serving as political counselor in the late 90s. So that picture was to kind of resemble how long the ambassador has been a part of mine and my wife's life for so long. And so, yes, it's a great picture, and lots of people actually complimented that how old I looked and how young the ambassador and my wife looked, that they hadn't really aged at that time. A couple of days ago, I had tweeted out that Ambassador Sandhu, to me, should be regarded as one of the most consequential Indian diplomats to have served in the U.S. And for those of you who have followed his career, I think you'll understand that his impact is just farther than just serving as ambassador, but it was through these very different roles that he had served and the different skills that he had developed in each of those roles. And it was in these various capacities which he served at different levels that made him what he is successful today. I was blessed to have met the ambassador when he arrived as political counselor in 1997. And I was working on Capitol Hill, managing the India caucus for Congressman Frank Pallone, amongst other things. And I started to meet him and get to know him and found that he was a very creative person, was always thinking outside the box. He initiated some fascinating programs like the celebration and honoring of Black History Month by the Indian Embassy. It was one of the great things that he had orchestrated, which was celebrating the connection between India, South Africa, and the United States, and that connection. And the first event that we had done with the Black Caucus, it was a huge turnout. But one of the other things that I also learned is that the ambassador had to use his skill set to really guide India through some of our most difficult times in the bilateral. And I think we kind of forget that while we're celebrating the highs of right now, the ambassador was very instrumental in managing the relationship during the lows. I mean, we cannot forget the 1998 nuclear tests. And not only did India have a difficult relationship with much of the West, it had a horrible relationship with the United States and the Clinton administration at that time. And the ambassador and then Ambassador Chandra and at that time political counselor Sandhu had to really get the U.S. Congress back to wanting to engage India at that time. And that took the ambassador probably learned a whole range of skills on how to make friends when people didn't want to be friends with you. And then we may have forgotten also that when he served as DCM, he had to manage the relationship during the Cobragati affair, where the relationship also was almost severed because of the arrest of an Indian diplomat in New York and the public nature of that arrest. And all of the skills that he learned in 97 when he was political counselor was then applied when he was DCM to ensure that the relationship continued, because we could not be where we are today if it wasn't for people like Ambassador Sandhu to make sure that we were back on track. And then lastly, of course, I think the bigger challenge, the latest challenge is when he was ambassador. And not only did he have to manage the relationship during COVID, which was hard for any diplomat, but when you're talking about COVID, you're talking about India's need for certain types of ingredients for their vaccine, certain types of things that they needed, the supply chain. He's dealing with Ukraine and the way that the US had reacted initially to those issues. And so again, Ambassador Sandhu, going back from 1997 to present times, has been using this collective skill set in order to ensure that the bilateral stays on track and that we can continue going into the future. So, and I should also say, I think Ambassador Sandhu is probably the only other person on the Indian Foreign Service to have also managed, I believe, 2 joint sessions of Congress as well by Indian prime ministers. I thought that was pretty cool. I worked with him too. He's on 3. Sorry.
3. He's saying 3, not 2.
3. So when you lose hair, you lose
just to remind you, when we were there, remember we got Vajpayee.
Yeah, I remember the Vajpayee one. I was there with you working side by side on that one. But I challenge anybody, and I will bet you a dinner at any restaurant in Washington, D.C., to find me a foreign service officer that has been that consequential to any relationship for India, let alone the United States, for India, than Ambassador Sandhu. I think your service and all of the issues that you have done and worked on have allowed where we are today in this bilateral. So I thank you for that.
Kapil, you alluded to a lot of the skills that Ambassador Sandhu possesses and that diplomats ought to possess and excel at, as we know in Ambassador Sandhu's case. But in your particular case, as you alluded to, another part that he didn't even know was in his job description is playing Cupid, right? So
yeah, that's a Netflix series that's coming out. I think it's in 2025. It's a diplomatic matchmaker. So I look forward to that.
Great. All right, let me move on to the chief of the US Bureau for the Hindustan Times, Prashant Jha, has been a friend since he took over this job. And just one quick thing I'll say, Prashant, through your work at the Hindustan Times, your various articles and columns and opinion pieces and so forth, I find them very insightful, and I learn a lot as a follower of the US-India space from what you write. So compliments to you on your work.
Thank you so much, MR. Thank you, Sanjeev, for having me. Thank you for your kind words, Sanjeev. I am a bit of an outlier today. One, I'm not a member of your distinguished diaspora, many of whom are present today. And 2, I got to know Ambassador Sandhu in a different capacity than all of you, which is as a reporter. And it's been fascinating to watch him in action. And I think 4 features of his stood out for me over the last 2.5 years that I have been here. The first is his strategic clarity. And that strategic clarity probably goes back to the late 90s, the period that Kapil was talking about. And that has some first principles. The fundamental principle of which is that India and US should get along. India and US should be friends. Both need each other and both can offer the world a lot. And I think that big picture and that clarity has been a feature of all his terms in the US. But strategic clarity, as we know, is not enough in itself. The second thing, I think, is political judgment. And I think all of us and anybody who has interacted with Ambassador Sandhu admires his political instincts, his political analysis, and his ability to move the wheels into very messy and very fragmented democracies together. remember, it's not just Washington that he deals with. Maybe he won't talk about it, but he also has to deal with Delhi. And that political clarity and judgment is there. The third is tactical flexibility. How much do you give? How much do you take? When do you accommodate? How do you engage? So I think that has been a key diplomatic strength. The fourth, and this is something that MR referred to earlier, is interpersonal relations, right? There are structural factors that have helped this relationship grow, but at the end of the day, there are individuals who take decisions. There are individuals in White House, there are individuals in state, there are individuals on Capitol Hill, there are individuals in civil society in America, there are individuals in the private sector, and there are similar counterparts of all these segments in India. And I think Ambassador Sandhu stands out because he has these excellent personal relationships with key actors, which then drive the relationship. If you put all of this together, strategic clarity, political judgment, tactical flexibility, and interpersonal skills, what you get are deliverables. And I think Ambassador Sandhu's time in DC, especially the last tenure, will be seen as a magical time in India-US relations. And I say that with caution. I don't use that loosely. I think 2023 in particular, and the Prime Minister's state visit inaugurated a new chapter in ties. If Ambassador Sandhu was there, if you consider Bill Clinton's visit to India, the historic visit to India in 2000, as the beginning of this relationship, he was there in its early childhood, and he has been there as the relationship has moved into this adult phase. And that adult phase has been characterized by a convergence in strategic worldview, a deepening of ties in defense and technology, the two domains which I think define whether two partners are trusted partners or not, and the ability to manage differences with maturity. I will personally miss Ambassador Sandhu tremendously, his guidance, his affection, even though reporters are not supposed to say this about their subjects. I think I had the privilege of covering India's foreign policy bottom up from Nepal, India's politics in Delhi. And the reason I thought I have been able to get some sense of this relationship is largely due to Ambassador Sandhu's guidance and seeing a master in action. Thank you so much, sir, for everything.
Prashant started out his remarks by saying that he's not a member of our diaspora, and many people would be surprised by that. But for those who know Prashant, he's originally from Nepal, which is why he mentioned that. But Prashant, you are an honorary part of what we do because, like I said, your US-India work helps give all of us tremendous insight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Let me now turn over to somebody who is an inspiration. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Jay Chaudhary as he has engaged with in diaspora. Jay is the founder and CEO of Zscaler or Zscaler, depending on whether you live in India or United States, and is an inspiration to us all. And also had the pleasure, along with MR and one of our other colleagues from India, of interacting with Jay most recently, just about 3-4 days ago in Davos. So Jay, the floor is yours.
You're on mute.
Jay, you're on mute.
Yeah.
All right. It should be good now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. First of all, thank you for those kind words. Ambassador, it has been an honor to get to know you. I had the opportunity to interact with you several times over the past few years when you're part of the group bringing some of these key ministers, that part of the stuff coming to Silicon Valley to really build relationships on the technology front, or whether it's in the defense area or it's the IT area and the like. It has been wonderful.
Well,
I think he
have been unmatched. In fact, the investments being made in India, the US over the past several years have gone through the roof. Imagine being able to think about the kind of investments we make in India from outside 5 years ago, 7 years ago. It is unthinkable. So thank you for facilitating all of this stuff. I was fascinated by the state dinner that took place in DC. It was really memorable. And a number of Americans have commented that it's not just India state dinner. If you think about all the state dinners that are happening in DC, this state dinner was something special. And thank you for organizing all of that stuff. You know, as others have said, the relationship between India and US has been progressing over time, but we've seen it accelerate over the past 5-10 years significantly. So that the impact you made in these relationships is outstanding. We feel so proud of being Indians sitting in the US over the relationship, as well as what India has done. No matter where we are, at the end of the day, we always think about India. You have been a great inspiration to all of us and personally to me. So thank you very much for all you had done for India and for the US and for the relationship between these two countries. Do wish you the best of luck and hope to stay in touch with you.
Thank you very much, Jay. Appreciate those really nice words. And, you know, I'll skip back in the agenda a little bit just for 1 minute. Our good friend from Ohio, State Senator Neeraj Antani, has now joined us. And Neeraj, I don't know whether there'll be a different title as well in your future, but over to you.
Well, thank you, Sanjeev. Apologies for being a little late. And MR, thank you for having me in diaspora. And Ambassador, great to see you. And we wish you the best. And on behalf of the many Indian American state and federal elected officials, it's an honor to be here for this felicitation, to thank you for your service to the U.S.-India relationship and to wish you the best. I came to know the ambassador when he was first DCM and visited Ohio on one of his many visits to Ohio as both DCM and ambassador. And the ambassador was always very gracious and inclusive of those of us who are Indian American elected officials, and understanding our interest and our place in trying to advance the U.S.-India relationship, and have received many calls from the ambassador and his consul generals over the many years of different ways to try to help the U.S.-India relationship, the Ohio-India relationship, and beyond. And we very much thank the ambassador for everything he has done. We look forward to continuing this relationship. Those of us who are in offices, whether it is elected office like ours or in ambassadorship, we understand that we are just simply stewards of the office for a moment in time. And all we can do is do our best in that moment in time. Ambassador, you have done that. We know whomever will follow you will do that. We know those who came before you have done that. And so we wish you the best and thank you on behalf of all of us who are Indian American elected officials across the United States. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neeraj. Glad you could join us from Ohio. I will now open it up just for about 4 or 5 minutes for audience comments, questions, remarks. Please raise your hand in the Zoom app. Don't raise it visually, raise it in the Zoom app, please, because I can't see across several screens. And I will then call on you. And then we would like to request the Honorable Ambassador Sandhu to deliver some closing comments. So any comments from anybody in the Zoom room?
There are lots of comments in the comment section, Sanjeev, but some people have to leave for other meetings. Should we read some of their comments?
Yeah, please, Amita. Why don't you go ahead and just pick a couple of those and please read them out and who they are from.
Sure. Amita Gupta from Johns Hopkins sent this message. Dear Ambassador Sandhu, it has been such an inspiration to see you in action, and I'm so grateful for your incredible service to Indo-US relations and to the world. You're an incredible diplomat. Wishing you the very best with your next adventure. Jishnu Bhattacharya, an Indiaspora member, said that thank you, Ambassador Sandhu, for your exceptional service as India continues to scale greater heights in the geopolitical landscape and makes us prouder every day. Wish you the very best in the next phase of your journey. Regards.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Sorry, was there a last one you wanted to share? Go ahead.
There's a hand up. Sanjay Agarwal.
Oh, there's a hand up. Oh, I see Sanjay Agarwal. Sanjay's hand is up. Sanjay, if you can please identify yourself and just briefly ask your question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sanjeev. My name is Sandhu. I used to work at American Tower until recently. So, Ambassador Sandhu, thank you so much for being here. And we got to know the ambassador early on as he started here during COVID. And we were transitioning, and we had a very large business in India, about 75,000 towers. We were a cell phone tower company based in Boston, with global headquarters in Boston and locations around the world in 26 markets. And we had a particular challenge because we were a real estate company, and the ambassador really stepped in and helped us working with the authorities in India, not just at the national level, which is always something we have to do, but also our businesses spread all over the country with 75,000 locations in India. So we needed support at every state level, even at the municipality level. And for Ambassador and his team to really step in and help us at that time when we really needed that support. So, Ambassador, obviously, we've spent a lot of time together when you visited our offices here in Boston and other events. So, thank you so much for all the support you provided all these years, and our business has been successful because of that. For all the work that you and your team has done. So thank you, and good luck, and hopefully we'll see you again in another avatar or something else that you will do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sanjay. I see a comment on the chat room from almost my neighbor, I would say, Jai Challa in Virginia. Thank you, Ambassador Sandhu, for your services to the Indian-American relations. You have always been very approachable to the Indian-American community. We met multiple times, including your comments at the American Telugu Conference, ATA, at the DC Convention Center. Thank you for adding that comment in, Jay. I have time only for one more, quick question or comment, and then I'll turn it over to Taranjeet. I think
Amit,
the next thing, yeah,
yes, Amit Patel.
Amit, yeah, I see Amit.
Yeah, thank you, Ambassador. Just a couple of quick comments. One, I'm from Dallas, Texas, so I'm grateful that this event is virtual so I could attend. But, I think a lot of people will attest to your accomplishments, the things that you've been able to do for both countries. By far one of the best envoys I think we've ever seen. But one of the other comments I want to make is, your human side. I think you're an extremely passionate person. You wear your emotions on your sleeves. And I even though I live here in the US, I launched a mental health app in India, and I'm a big passionate about the mental health space. And so the human side, the element that you bring to this, to the conversation, to the bilateral agreements, there's, that side doesn't get talked about enough. And so I want to also thank you for that side, for being the person you are, on top of the accomplishments that you've done for both countries. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Amit. Taranjeet, I cannot echo more strongly what Amit and other speakers have said in the past about being the person you are, and the approachableness and the commitment to community and the passion. I mean, I have witnessed that multiple times in you. But it's interesting that the last commenter, before we turn it over to you, should talk in a diplomatic context about wearing your heart on your sleeve. Normally, these two things don't go together. But, over to you, Taranjeet, to comment on that and anything else that you had in mind to talk to us about.
There were three people who just wanted to say something. If one minute they can say something, I can see.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. Yeah, go ahead. I think I see Anu Sehgal.
Yeah, Anu.
You're on mute.
Oops. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ambassador Taranjeet Singh, I had met with you in New York City when Mr. Jaiswal had several events. And I just want to echo the whole approachability part. So you had requested a meeting with several entrepreneurs, and I was one of the entrepreneurs. And we discussed how we can get youth, Indian American youth, engaged in our community and with their heritage cultures. So I just want to thank you for all your support and being so approachable and curious about what the diaspora is doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anu. There are two more speakers. I'll go first to Juhi, and then I'll turn it over to Akshay of ICICI. Juhi, you first, please. You're on mute if you're talking.
Hi, so sorry. I had to press it a few times. Ambassador Sandhu, we know each other, and I've known you in so many different roles that I have played, starting with Fairfax County and then now on my own. And the only thing I want to say about him, well, it's always a pleasure to be in your presence. I absolutely love your smile. It is everywhere and omnipresent. And I think that you exemplify what a true diplomat should be. And I think that statement encompasses so many of your qualities. You're going to be so sorely missed personally by me. And I hope to see you later this week at another event, but it's been an absolute pleasure to know you. Thank you.
Thank you, Juhi. I'll turn it over to Akshay, and then I've just been informed that Raja Krishnamurthy of Illinois has just joined us. So Raja, we'll queue you up next immediately after Akshay before the ambassador responds.
Thanks, Sanjeev. Ambassador Sandhu, it has been pleasure meeting you a few times, but I would like to mention that in whole of your journey, the leadership and mentorship that you have provided to the embassy, consulates, and various team members of yours, it has been pleasure, working with them. Though I have not worked with you directly, but I can tell you that your team is very well placed to take care of Indian diaspora. And I can clearly see that in my short stint here, the kind of confidence that the Indian diaspora has developed in terms of going back to India, getting any work done from India, and also investment in India has tremendously increased. Of course, numbers are there to say, but I think your leadership, your mentorship will go a very, very long way in times to come in terms of continuing this culture and improving this culture. And your tenure will definitely be a great game changer and milestone for times to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Akshay. I would like to echo what you said. We've provided a lot of extremely well-deserved and well-earned encomiums to Taranjeet. And also, I think the team that works for him on a daily basis, whether it's in the embassy, whether it's in the various consulates around America. It's obvious that his leadership of the team and how the team has stepped up has been great. We at Indiaspora have had a tremendous relationship with the team members, not just in the embassy, but also in the various consulates, including, of course, the consuls general themselves. So I echo you, Akshay. Raja, I believe you have joined us from Illinois, Raja Krishnamurthy, Representative Krishnamurthy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Ambassador, I'm just here to sing your praises. No pun intended, but I want to just thank you for your incredible service. I saw you earlier last week, and it was wonderful to see you one last time in person. And I hope that next time we meet, you'll be coming back in your intended role, and I look forward to sharing notes in your new position as well. So thank you for everything that it's been a pleasure working with you from Congress, and I look forward to our next collaborations.
Thank you for your public service as well, Raja. You too are an inspiration to so many of us. Thanks for joining the call. Ambassador Sandhu, over to you, please.
Thank you, Sanjeev, and thank you, MR, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. In fact, the interesting part is that first time I met Raja was at an in-diaspora function when he was not a congressman. So the beauty of your grouping has been that you have been actually reaching out to many new and younger members of the Indian American community. And now, of course, since you have been around for some time, so it's quite an institution. So many of these younger and newer members have achieved big. And I think that's a very important and critical role, and I compliment you. Again, I apologize that I could not in person meet you, but as one of our friends said, that at least this way, we could interact with a much larger outreach. In fact, the COVID got us so actively involved in this, and thank God for this platform that we were able to connect with so many at that time. And of course, now again, the trends are back to have in-person interactions. But I think the world is wiser. And our own relationship reflects that. Technology is an important part. But let me first thank all of you for the warm remarks. I'm very, very grateful for your affection. The entire lineup here from Shekhar to Vivek to Sandeep, Niraj, Rishi, Kapil, Prashant, Jay, Juhi, Anu, Akshay, Amit, everyone, and all of you who are around today. I know it's a working day, and especially to come. And I apologize, I couldn't provide any other timing except that this was right in quite the middle of your day. So I really take to heart what all you have said, and I look forward to stay connected. As some of the people before me have alluded, I've had indeed a long innings here. It's also end of my 35 years in diplomacy. And as someone has said, all good things must come to an end. But even more importantly, somebody told me, and I've got to know so many interesting things here, that one, retirement, and second, taxes. Both should not be avoided. So I'm sure you will enjoy the humor of that. Again, this journey has been very educative for me. I think, as Cap had mentioned, that I came in 1997. The atmosphere was very different. And like some of you, I have actually seen this relationship move up. So when today at this vantage point, I look back, I can see the achievements. Because at that particular moment, and as somebody has also earlier mentioned, that in democratic establishments, democratic polities, it's not that easy to keep the ship on its way, because number of choppy waters come. And I can, each one of these, my stints here, and here I just want to underline, there were three important stints which I have spent in India-US relationship. The fourth one was with the United Nations, and I didn't have anything much to do with this relationship as such. But in each of these three, there were challenging moments. First one already Cap has mentioned to you. We had the nuclear test and how the relationship went around. The second one, again, when I was DCM here, we had the diplomatic challenge. We had also a new government in India, and that relationship, if you will recall, that President Obama and Prime Minister Modi, the relationship really glued very well. And this time around, I did come in just before the start of the COVID. I had the fortune of taking the then president to India. It was a very successful visit. It was almost touch and go because there were other political pressures coming on him. But I think after that, for next 2 weeks, whichever congressman or senator I met, all of them said that the president was speaking so much about his visit. And then came the COVID. And the COVID really was a challenge which no one had foreseen. And we did continue our ship on track during the COVID. Many of you remember. I think virtual became an important way. But most importantly, I must compliment my colleagues in this, that when there was a necessity of ensuring that the connection between India and the US, including the movement of diaspora students, had to be done, my colleagues were very much there. We held the hand of Air India, and ensured that the flights went. At a time, many of you, it's today almost unbelievable that in aircraft, how you had to move. So there have been challenges, and as one of my friends mentioned about the healthcare, today our relationship is solid because there are areas which we can look at. I mean, just look at technology. I mean, you are so closely associated with technology. When we talk of India-US relationship, technology is right in the forefront. So whether it's semiconductors, supply chains, AI, quantum, the famous technology handshake event at the White House, where both Prime Minister Modi and President Biden were present. So if we are reading today about Macron, LAM, research, applied materials, investments in India, it's actually happening. That's the substantial part. On the defense side, at one time, there was just nothing. When I was here in the late 90s, it was almost negligible. Then it came to what can be called as a trade relationship. There was so much of buying, selling happening. But today, we have moved a step ahead. When we hear of the GE-HAL deal, or we hear of other deals coming, we hear of repair of US Navy ships in India, index, etc., etc. Look at the exercises that are taking place. Today, the relationship has moved to joint production, collaboration, working very, very closely together. Similarly, in business and commerce, again, one area in which many of you are associated. At one time, I mean, the figures used to be very, very paltry. Today, without an FTA, we have got to $190 billion. But even more significant is that almost unbelievable that all the seven outstanding disputes between India and the US at WTO have been settled. If you ask a WTO diplomat, he or she will tell you this would have been impossible even a few years back. But this reflects the way the two countries are seeing each other, the way they are seeing the bigger picture. So whether it's Trade Policy Forum or it's the CEO Forum, or you are looking at investments, the news about US investments in India. We just saw 2 days back the Boeing, Apple, Google, Nvidia, Walmart sourcing from India. These are becoming normal happenings. Energy trade. I remember President Trump was shocked at that time when we informed him that from $0, the trade, that is the energy trade, has crossed 20 billion. And that's a fact. My friends from Texas know that very well. But it's also interesting that you have the First Solar investing in Chennai, and you have many of the Indian companies. In fact, one of the companies has invested in North Carolina. So there are mutual investments going on. And community, all of you are the strength. As I've often said, the fact that there are so many Indian American successful CEOs alludes to the fact of how respected our Indian American professional community is. During the COVID, you had to just on the television set. My friend, Ms. Gupta was just here. Johns Hopkins has such a close relationship on healthcare between the two countries. So what I was saying is, during the COVID, even I had to listen, whenever I listened to any of the television channels, there was an Indian doctor, Indian American doctor. It was so much of a prideful happening. So once again, friends, I know that your good work is going to continue. You are the real strength of the United States and India, and we are very, very proud of you. Whether doctors, CEOs, tech innovators, Nobel Prize winners, etc., etc. I think on the West Coast, some of the high-tech people, they have the Indian spirit. Now, all I will ask is that all this expertise which you have picked up from United States and India, do remember to share it with your institutions, with your alma mater, with the people in India. Each one of you, if you can create 5 more people like you, you would have done a great service. So that's the kind of changes that is happening in India right now. When we talk of tech revolution, when we talk of the kind of digital payment mechanism that has come up, there's so much you can contribute, but most you can contribute by sharing your own stories with your brothers and sisters back in India. So I hope our engagement will continue. I'm sure in whatever role, this is going to be a huge memory. And MR and Sanjeev, keep it up. This platform, bring more and more young people into it. Like you have done, I think it's a great service. It gives a lot of pride. And I know that now in diaspora is moving to so many other countries. You just mentioned about Netherlands. I know so many more. In fact, during the president's visit to India, you were holding a parallel event there where a number of members of your diaspora came from all over the world. So keep that up. I hope to stay connected. I know it's afternoon and all of you have to run. So once again, thank you very much. And I deeply appreciate all of you coming here and saying those nice, warm words for me. I'm sure this is a reflection more of India, where India has come. And as somebody just alluded a little while back, that we are all doing our job. I was merely doing my job. I look forward to stay connecting with all of you. And once again, my compliments and best wishes. Stay well, stay safe, and stay happy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taranjeet. Your advice will be taken to heart and we will stay in touch. There is no question about that. Thank you for your outstanding public service over the years. I'll just turn it over very quickly to first my colleague Neha and then to MR, and they will close quickly. I think there is something that will pleasantly surprise you, Taranjeet.
Hi, Ambassador. I'm Neha Dewan. I'm the Vice President of Operations and General Counsel here in Diaspora. And one of the things that you and I share in common is that we went to the same boarding school. So just for everybody who doesn't know that, the ambassador and I went to Lawrence School Sanar in Himachal Pradesh, and he stays very connected with his alumni. I mean, that's something, talk about approachability. That's something that everybody always says. So we have a WhatsApp group of old Sanarians in North America. So the ambassador had served as a chief guest in 2022 at our flagship event, which is the Founders event. So after the event, there was a lot of chatter in the WhatsApp group. So one person noted, "It is wonderful how Taranjeet continues to give back to Sanar boarding school, connect with OS, which is Old Sanarians, and offer platforms for OS to engage the community." And another person noted the advice that was given by the ambassador, who said, "Give back to kids in Sanar, our school, not just in money, but also advice. And encourage your own OCI NRI kids to connect with the home country as they build their lives," which is relevant to all of us. And then somebody posted a picture which had President Biden, Prime Minister Modi, and all important people in this boardroom. And you see the ambassador right down, the aisle. So one person noted, "Our man Terry," so I think you have another name now, aka His Excellency Ambassador Sandhu. "How many of you have spotted his distinctive pagdis over these last few days?" And so aside from the work that you've done, I think your attire has certainly made an indelible mark upon those who you have crossed paths with. But jokes aside, you have certainly made your country very proud, the diaspora prouder, and your alma mater the proudest. And from one OS to another, never give in. And we wish you the very best.
Thanks so much, Neha, and thanks to my colleagues and my team who I have the privilege of working with every day in the US and in India. They've helped put this event together. MR, over to you for the close.
Taranjeet, like I said, this is bittersweet. You've been a true friend. We'll keep in touch with you. We wish you all the best. You've left an indelible mark on the US-India relationship. Thank you so much for everything you've done for India and for the diaspora. We wish you well.
Thank you, MR. And I'm sure it's not a secret, but I hope all of you have enjoyed Emma's hospitality in his wonderful house on the hill. And thank you so much, my fellow co-scenarian. It's wonderful to see you here again. And through you, I again send my warmest greetings to all of them. Thank you, Neha.
Thank you, Taranjeet.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thanks a lot.